almost ready here, so let's take it away. Where is live Facebook here? Coming up here in just a second. Yes, we are live. Yes, I'm Ann Eller. Yes, Penny's on the screen right there. She loves being the center of attention. I'm Ann Eller here this afternoon. How you doing, everybody? This is going to be quite a show. Quite a show. We got a really, really, really big show for you this afternoon. Who used to say that?
Ed Sullivan.
You got 2 points, yes.
Really
we all must be of a certain age
That's
here
right.
today.
Really big shoe.
Yeah, right. But I'm Ann Eller, and one times we're going to actually talking about fruit, preserves, veterans, and healthcare. How's that for a combination of a story here today? And sometimes the best stories aren't about organizations, they're about the people. And today we're talking with Army veteran Ron Aderhold and Ken Coffey of the Self Regional Charitable Foundation, and how we've got a remarkable organization of ideas and service coming back to help our veterans, our fellow veterans. So, Ron, I'm telling you, I'm very impressed with your story. Saw you at the Veterans Appreciation event we had last week. Well, I didn't see you, but I saw all the product you had brought in there. And first off, I want to thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And how about give us a little background about yourself, your military service. Let's see, you were Desert Shield and Desert Storm?
I was in Desert Storm and Shield. I was in the first wave in. I went in 1990 to 1991.
And that was quite an experience, I guess.
It was quite an experience, but I went in the service at 17 and got out when I was 21, so that's what I was trained to do right away. So I didn't know anything better, so it was right in, how you say, it was what I knew at the time.
Yeah, now let me ask you something. Do you think military service is a good thing for our young people?
I do. I believe it teaches structure, it teaches management, it teaches a younger generation or a young person like myself how to listen, how to work with the other people as a team, and to develop skills that I've used for the rest of my life.
My husband always used to say the first thing is you had to get up and make the bed, and that was a biggie.
Correct, and I still get up at 4:30 every morning.
Oh, my God. Well, that's pretty terrific. So so you came home, were you injured in
I was injured, but the injuries weren't so bad, but they got worse and worse over the years. They were chronic, and over the years, the pain and everything starts to get debilitating, and you just kind of deal with it and go on until it gets so bad till you have to start working on it and get the healthcare needs, and you have to find that medical home. Yeah. And I found one that's self-regional. Sure.
Now, though, before we jump ahead to that story, I'm real interested that you went to college at, what, 40, 41, 42?
42. I didn't start college till I was 42, and I went locally here to Piedmont Tech. And I got my AAC there. Then I went to Anderson, and I got my BBA in Healthcare Administration. Then I interned with the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans in D.C., and I worked on the Hill for a little while. Then I came back.
What was that experience like? Now, slow down. We got to savor this story. What was that experience like?
That experience was like, it was amazing. While I was working on the Hill, I actually did something that was couple things that were quite amazing. Is that one, on the Hill, I was the intern, they still talk about, that found a $39 million shortfall in the HUD-VASH program. And I got to go speak in front of the Senate Oversight Committee and talk about the shortfall. And
so even back then, we were having accounting problems.
Correct,
yeah,
yes.
Okay.
What the problem actually was is from one administration going into the next administration, the first administration extended out the program for another year. So it made it, instead of a 3-year cycle, a 4-year cycle. And when the next administration came in, they went back to a 3-year cycle. So the cycle that was the 4th year wasn't getting paid. So that they didn't account for that, and I caught that.
Wow.
And so that fourth year cycle had to get paid. So they had to up the budget for that fourth year
Well, that
cycle.
must have been quite of an experience to go in front of the Senate there.
Yes,
and
it's
everything.
my Senate experience was a whole lot different. There wasn't all those people and cameras. There was just the big guys in line and just us sitting there, and they had everything reviewed already. Like, thank you, sir, good job.
They didn't get all the press and everything
No,
there
no.
like you do today.
No,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was great. But I got to meet a lot of the people there, and then when I was there, also I started a program called Operation Bedroll. Is that when I was touring some of the HUD-VASH facilities, HUD-VASH facilities, you can stay there for up to 2 years. The VA pays for you to live there, and you start learning your skills to improve in life. When I learned with the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans that a veteran just getting out of the military isn't taught the skills they need to live after the military. And I wasn't either. Some of the skills like cooking, cleaning, writing checks, the checkbook, the mowing the lawn.
Basic life skills.
Basic
really.
life skills. And 19% of them, veterans, are homeless within 24 months.
So
And-
what was this bedroll? Because I found that very interesting.
And what the Operation Bedroll was is that when I toured the facility, I found that all of these guys were sleeping on mattresses that were kind of dingy, and the sheets were bad, and this and that. And I'm like, okay, where I'm staying is the Washington Center, and without being rude, everybody's rich that's there because they're all in these high-end scholarships that mine was paid for. And it was a trimester, and they were just throwing all the stuff away because they were all flying back.
Wow.
And
And it was all the good stuff.
it was all the
presume.
good stuff, brand new
Right.
stuff they bought there. And so there's like 300 kids every trimester. So I went to Mira Bowser's office, and I had a meeting with them. I went to the White House, had a meeting with them. I went to the HUD-VASH facilities. I met with them. I met with other VA staff. I met with the Washington Center. And I decided what worked out is that the facilities at the Washington Center, the days of everybody leaving, we had a donation center set up where they could just donate that stuff instead of throwing it away. And all of a sudden, it expanded out where they were donating all their dry goods and their laundry detergent, half bottles of laundry detergent, half bottles of soap, shampoo, conditioner, hand lotions, this,
Oh,
that.
that's great.
And we ended up with 2 full rooms, the first one. And there was like 7 U-Haul trailers that they came, or trucks that came and got the stuff. We
Wait
ended
a
up,
second. Wait a minute. We got to breathe on this. What a success story that was. How did that make you feel?
it was amazing. And I'm not big on accolades because I just, like I say, I see the numbers 1 + 1 =. So I just see a problem. I see
Right.
I want it fixed.
Right.
You know, that's
But still,
that's what
you
the
have
Miller
to take
taught
a
me.
little
You see a
pride,
problem.
though, as you see
I
all
do.
that going out of there.
I do. And then the pride was the Washington Center had me as their keynote speaker in 2017 for their Gallo Awards. So I was up feeling like Frank Sinatra, hand in my pocket. You know, all the down here was my speech that I went ad lib. And the speech guys were going up and down like this,
the
up and down,
teleprompter,
teleprompter, just like
yeah,
going up
yeah.
and down. I was just saying, you guys, no, I'm going to do it myself. But
Wait a minute. I'll do it my way.
and it was their big event, and so that was the accolade because speaking to congressmen, this, that, and being the big dog for the night in D.C.
You know, it had to be because you were older when you went to school. It had to have actually maybe meant more. And you probably were taken a little more serious because you weren't 20, 25.
Correct. That's true, too. And I knew what I wanted to do with life because the reason I went through with healthcare administration after I got my AAC, I didn't know where I wanted to go, is that I didn't go get my benefits till I was 42 also. Because for me to get to Piedmont Tech, the VA had a scholarship program at the time with the market collapse called NASCLA, and it gave me a scholarship to go to a tech school. And they paid for the first year of the tech school, and that was great. But I had to go get my benefits. And first off, why I was so impressed with him going to the vet center here in Greenwood, That's where I applied originally for my VA benefits. So it's
Wow.
right back to where I started.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's pretty
And then,
cool.
one of the veterans places I went to sign up for Vet Health, one of the hospitals at that time, was a piece of crap.
It's a piece of crap. Okay.
I watched the patients not being treated properly, not being, not physically harmed, but just customer service-wise.
Right.
And I vowed I wanted to change that. And then I decided to go to healthcare administration. And, graduating with 4.0 in valedictorian, that I could pretty much pick where I wanted to go. And Anderson had a healthcare administration that was online. And, Anderson's a pretty top-flight school. And as an online student, I graduated with my BBA in healthcare administration as valedictorian again. They were amazed that an online older student could do it. Like calculus. I made calculus in the semester with only getting 2 questions wrong the whole semester.
Well, you'd be the envy of a lot of young people here today, and a lot of people questioning why do we need calculus, right?
Right. But all those steps are brick by brick. You learn your foundation, and college is a learning tool that you're not going to memorize everything you learn, but it teaches you how to find the answers and how to figure out what to do and how to make the steps in life.
Absolutely.
And what your job is all about.
So, did you work in healthcare then?
No, I did not. I was working here at the local Sears store,
Right.
60 hours a week, and doing school online.
Right.
And I just kept going on and plugged through it. And then as soon as I got in the master's program, I got a job at the VA in Beckley, West Virginia,
Okay.
as an MSA, just a frontline person greeting people at one of the clinics. Mm-hmm. And I took that job and I finished my MBA in Beckley, West Virginia.
So, now fast forward. When did you start having really bad back problems?
It actually really bad started about 3 years ago. The pain was so debilitating that I couldn't bend over. I couldn't twist side to side. I couldn't bend my neck. I couldn't put socks on. I couldn't do anything. I gained the funniest part of back surgery, bad back, and I have 2 bad knees too. I'm going to have, Self-Regional doesn't know what Dr. Lowell does, is after my healing portion, I'm going to have them replace both my knees, is that I couldn't exercise. I couldn't do anything. You had to sit in the chair and whatever. I ended up gaining 100 pounds.
I think that's not unusual, right?
Not unusual
at all.
And I eat healthy. I just couldn't do anything. So things over the years, and my job was sitting at a desk. There wasn't exercise at work anymore because I was in management.
Right.
So, and then.
So how did you end up as self-regional healthcare? How did we get to that relationship?
With the administration that came in, they opened up more of an opportunity for healthcare in your own community, going out into the community. And I did some research, and I saw the staff, and I researched the staff, and Dr. Lowell had glowing reviews everywhere. And I talked to 2 of the patients that had surgery from Dr. Lowell that I just met in the community, and I saw them wearing braces and this and that. And actually my mom, when she's here, they come here 5 months a year and stay with me, is that her hair nurse or her person that does her hair, beautician,
right.
You can tell I'm a man, is that, had neck surgery from Dr. Lowell, and she's perfectly fine, this and that. So there was a few in community testimonials. I asked to go to Self-Regional and Dr. Lowell, and they scheduled an appointment for me to meet him the first time. And I met him. I felt very comfortable with him, especially when he was first thing I said, sir, first off, I'm military. I'm from the Midwest. All I ask is, I don't care anything, but just be honest with me. Don't sugarcoat it, and just tell me the truth. Okay, Ron, you have to lose 100 pounds. I'm like, what the?
That wasn't what you expected when you wanted him to be honest with you. Is
right,
what you're telling me?
Right, but honesty is honesty. So we went through the process. Their whole staff there is amazing. They gave me books to read. They gave me everything. I went through.
How does a person exercise and do stuff when they can't get out of a chair?
I know. And so we went through the injections first in my back. So we tried those. We went through 4 rounds of that. None of them helped. So then we went through that. That was a year of doing those. And then we sat down and said, well, those are not working, so we're going to have to lose the weight, point blank. That's your next step, or live like that. And that's the honesty he had with me. And I was like, okay. And so I started the gym.
So where did you get into the canning part now? You're still a heavy man. You've got to lose 100 pounds.
Correct.
How is this happening?
Every 4th of July, the canning, we'll back up with that. The canning throughout the years, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my mother canned through their life. You know, my great-grandmothers were in Wisconsin and one in Michigan. They lived through the Depression, and my grandmothers lived through the Depression.
Well, canning was a staple in life,
Correct.
right?
And
yeah.
especially them being my one side of my family. My grandma was a farmer, and they canned everything. I remember their pantry was the size of this whole studio. Mm-hmm. And so every year I had to can with them, and I was the peeler, and I just hated it growing up. But over the years, my mom would fly down here, and we would can in my middle 20s and 30s. She would fly down here, and we would can for ourselves for the year, and it would be a mother-son experience. So I grew to enjoy it. And then on the 4th of July, the last 10 years, some VA veterans I would have come over to my house, and we would just can some jam. We would talk about our PTSD issues from the war, and some of them are Vietnam vets. So one works in the Pentagon, one works at other places. And we would can to, one, try to get away from the fireworks out on the lake, because we all live out on the lake. And they just shoot fireworks off when you don't know it, and we're jumping and going for cover. And when you're talking about it, it's a whole lot easier.
Right.
And then we would make them for gifts and themselves, and they would take them and we'd give them away at Christmas. Best Christmas present is a jar of jam because you made it.
Right.
And everybody loves that. So during that time of the 4th of July on July 25th, we made the jam, and I spent the whole weekend. I kept going a little bit because I wanted to make some for Christmas gifts too after they left, because they took everything with them. Is that I ended up losing 3 or 4 pounds. I'm like, whoa, I'm not a big man to go to the gym. I live out on the lake and drive all the way into town for 20 minutes, sit 30 minutes on the treadmill looking at a screen and wondering what the hell am I doing here, and then driving back home. But I believe in exercise having a mission. And I said, well, let's put 1 + 1 = 2. My mission is in life, and my philanthropy is for veterans to help other veterans, because we all have walked the same earth and sowed the same mud, is that I'm going to do this and give this away. So for the next 9 months, I canned over 6,100 jars of fruits, vegetables, salsas, sauces, dips, and
so is this your weight loss program? Jamming for weight loss? Is that what you call it?
So it ended up being a weight loss program, and I ended up losing almost 100 pounds.
Just by walking around in the kitchen?
Walking around back and forth, chopping. Everything was chopped by hand. Everything was stirred by hand. You know, you're in the heat of the kitchen sweating, you know, and walking in and out of the garage, going to get the fruits and vegetables.
I understand you even used the cookbook from the 1950s.
My grandmother's cookbook, the Ball cookbook from the 1950s. I used my mom's canner, a single canner, what she had growing up.
Oh my God, that had to take forever.
It took 9 months. I did it all by hand. And after they were canned, I had two individuals, Mr. and Mrs. Husted, who are my second parents. They live out on the lake in a different community. They used to live in the community, and they would come over every Sunday. He has some issues also, but they would put all the labels on all the jars every Sunday morning. I wasn't allowed to put the labels on.
I heard that he is very particular about how the labels are put on the jars.
Correct.
They have to be perfect.
They have to be perfect.
So that would take a long time to make every label perfect.
So he would label them, then his wife would put them in the boxes, and then
Yes. See, there you go. That is the label. It is on there. Perfect. Okay, go ahead.
And then she would put them in the boxes. And this last month or 2 weeks prior to us delivering them, I went through each one of the jars, wiped them off again, and put those little stickers on to make sure the steel was still properly sealed.
Right.
And they were both also, Jim and Barb Houston were barbecue competition barbecue judges, where they were FDA
judges,
trained.
okay.
FDA trained, and so they were
Right.
watching to make sure everything was sealed properly and this and that also.
That's amazing. You know, Ken, you have to be listening to this, and I know you already know the story, but how does the Healthcare Foundation, how did this piece of the puzzle all come together?
Well, thank you, Ann. And pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be sitting next to this gentleman here who's a true patriot, and we appreciate your service to our country. What happened, Ron reached out to some members of the staff and some of the folks in the neuro practice that he referred to, Dr. Lau and others, and wanted to give something back. And it ended up...
That's nice when they want to give something back, isn't it?
It really
Yes.
is. It really is. And we have some policies that preclude team members from accepting gifts from patients, but it ended up in the hands of a fellow by the name of Scott Reynolds, who's the service line manager for the Neuro and Spine Center. And he's a clinical kind of guy, but he knew, he and I are friends, and he knew about the foundation's role in terms of accepting gifts, and he asked me to get involved. And, you know, through that connection I did, and then Ron and I talked by phone, and we kind of came up together with the idea of doing something for the Veterans Center here in Greenwood. And I guess it was kind of a spur-of-the-moment thought, because I've had some involvement with the Veterans Center through the Emerald City Antique Automobile Club.
They're a big. They give good amounts of money
Our
to the
car
Veterans Center.
shows, and
Yep.
each year we give money for veterans, and as you probably know, there are a significant number of homeless veterans in Greenwood. Somehow we need to try to help those heroes in any way we can. And so we, when Ron mentioned the quantity of jars, stuff.
Did you sit down and say "OMG"?
Well, and I was trying to figure out where in the heck could all this be, and he sent me a picture of his garage, and it was, you know, it was an
Lined.
area almost as big as your studio here, and so we got to talking, and I called Rosalind Burke over there at the center, and she thought it was a wonderful idea that we might give those to the center, and it just so happened that it tied in nicely with the Veterans Appreciation Day event that they had there, I think, on July 16th,
Yep.
and which is a big deal for local veterans, and it's kind of a vendor fair. And
Right.
and Ron, I didn't get to stick around, but it sounded like that was a big hit.
It was a huge hit.
I was
yes.
there for an hour and a half. It was a huge hit. I spoke. Rosalind put me up on the stage, you know, to speak for the first 5 minutes, and she was like, "Wow, you got 2 standing ovations." I'm like, "I don't know. I just came out of the blue, you know. I just talking, you know." And even the vendors were taking the jars and putting them on their tables to hand out to the veterans. So they were everywhere.
I did get a couple of ones. Yes.
So it was a big hit, and I know the veterans were just thrilled
Yeah.
to get that.
So then what did you do there?
Well,
Ken?
you know,
You still had more left, right?
we did, and we have a. Let me say this: Self Regional is grateful for our veterans, and we do whatever we can to honor them, and active as well as those who have passed. Back in 2019, we started a program called the Veterans Walk of Honor, and it's a very special program for our team members at the hospital to honor veterans who've died at Self Regional. With permission of the family, after a loved one's passing, the deceased will be draped in an American flag and moved from their room and transported on that hallway in the unit that they're in. Our staff will line those hallways in honor of those veterans and the
That's really
the service.
special.
That's
really special.
It really is. There's a it's just a neat way to thank these heroes who, and patriots who've, you know, made our country what it is and protected our freedoms and so forth. And so, you know, that's part of the hospital's commitment. And then when Ron came along and we you know, we learned about it. I learned about it largely through him having a great experience with Dr. Lau and our team over there. And
you always like to hear of those, don't you, Ken?
we absolutely do. And I'm happy to say that we get more positive stories than negatives. And you
That's
know,
hard in today's world too.
It is, and you know, much of that, you know, our CEO and president Matt Logan, you know, has a vision for our hospital, and you probably have seen it. It's essentially a triangle, isosceles triangle, where on one side we want to be the best place to give care. In other words, we want to be the best hospital to work at, to give care to our patients. The other side is they want to be the best place to get care, which addresses the patient aspects of what we do. And then the bottom, and certainly not the least, is we want, if we do those two things, we'll be financially sound, and that's what drives Self Regional. That was a vision that Dr. Logan had shortly after becoming CEO, and we are focused on that 24/7, 365 days a year.
Sure. Well, I think that, you know, Ron, you made the comment about veterans are a little suspicious about going outside, and yet you have found the care that you got at Self Regional amazing.
Yes, we are, as veterans, we're used to using the VA, and we're very picky about who we see, because there's been very, very bad experiences going out into the community for us because of paperwork, length of time, this, that. There's always not
issues,
a lot of issues. And that's why I did my research, and I believe in medical homes, and the way Self Regional treated me, and how they made me and made myself feel, and made Self Regional my medical home.
Made a big difference in your life.
Made a big, huge difference in my life. Put it this way, I'm only 4 months out of surgery, and I'm walking, I'm doing this, that. The funniest story about this is that when I got out of the surgery, I got out of the surgery, they came back, they doped me up a little bit. Then I slept for 4 or 5 hours, and they got me up. They said, we need you to walk around a little bit. Just shuffle, see if you can go to the door and back. So I got up, grabbed my little one thing of
IV puller,
and then the jug of the blood thingy that was hanging out the other side, and I started walking.
Oh, that's a vision, Ron.
I know, well, you know what it is. Then I started walking, and then I started walking really fast. I kept going around, not just to the room, but I kept walking around the whole unit. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden people are clapping and cheering and waving and this and that, and I'm like, what? Whoa. And I asked the nurse, is there something hanging out of me? Is there something? Because there is no self-pity or modesty at the hospital after surgery. Everything's, you're almost naked, you just got this little thing on. I said, no, you're not supposed to be walking. They're all cheering for you because of the surgery. I had no pain in my legs anymore. I had no pain anywhere.
I got to ask you, how did that feel to have no pain after all the pain you'd had?
I didn't even know what to say, because it was just a blessing. With them helping me through and being honest with me and making it a home, I'm at a loss for words.
We interview doctors here on WCRS at least once a month, and one of the things that always impresses me is the care and the trying to move the ball forward. I mean, I think Self really does try to stay on top of things.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the wound center, the wound care center,
cancer center.
Yeah, these things are top notch, and it's really, really special. We had Dr. Kim on yesterday.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he said when he came here, angioplasty was big, and we didn't have an angioplasty, so he was enthused about coming here to help set that up, and I think that's really great.
Well,
if I needed an MRI, it was scheduled within 3 or 4 days compared to 2 months. If I needed something, I was there right away.
Well, that's one of the advantages, I think, why they wanted to get away from the VA so much, is to start putting care back in your local hospitals and medical centers.
Correct. The literature they made for us to read and to learn by was top notch. It was a manual.
A manual.
It was a manual for surgery.
Right.
You know, what to do, get ready, what you need to do, how you need to scrub yourself, everything I needed to do, step by step. It was like a military manual again. It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. I was so thoroughly impressed through the whole process and what they did. Because a lot of places, you're just lost.
That's true. So you got Ken, you got involved because of he had wanted to make a donation to the healthcare workers. That wasn't something you could do, so you found another way.
Yep.
Now, so you did it. You're doing it also at the McCormick Center. Is that right?
Yeah, and that's the McCormick Area Veterans Association. We had a team in their golf tournament last November. Our team happened to win the tournament, which was a nice plus.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
You know, but that's just an aside. But it's
Ken's team won.
and I can assure you, it wasn't because of my play. But we it's a fantastic tournament, and they have it's really cool because they have veterans on pretty much every tee box, and these are guys, World War II guys, and Korea and Vietnam, and some of them in uniform, and you get to walk over and shake their hand and thank them for their service. It's a really, really cool event, and their tournament coming up this year is November the 9th down at Hickory Knob. Their website, if anybody's interested, is www.mccormickareavets.org. Len Fouch is the chairman of that association, and another lady I dealt with down there was Judy Bouchard, and in any case, Ron's got some more of these delicious
Delicious
foods
canned
and
goods,
whatnot,
yes,
and we're going to make them available down there at their tournament, and so they were thrilled with the idea, and it's just it's like I said earlier, we got to do what we got to do to help these heroes, and it's in some ways it's.
Now, what is when somebody gets one of those jars? What does it mean to people? What have they told you, other veterans and everything?
A lot of them, the veterans, it brings back their thoughts of their family and their early childhood.
Right.
Because when they eat them, they're like, "This is my mother used to make them like this. This is just like my grandmother made. This brings me back to my roots." It's just. It's the most amazing thing in the world to them because it's something handmade. It's not store-bought in jarred pickles. It's store-bought in salsa. And it tastes fresh. It's made fresh. Right. Everything was bought from here.
Now, who paid for all this?
I did, myself.
For all the produce and everything to do this?
Yes, I did that. I worked through the years, and I have a pretty decent job, and I do things. God has blessed me, and we've been taught to give back to our people, that our fellow individuals that are in need, and that's what I wanted to do. And it was a double-edged sword for me because I actually lost my weight and I gave back. So I could have paid for a
Ozempic or something like that.
A gym.
Yeah.
A gym,
and an individual trainer, but no, I did it myself, and it probably would have cost almost the same.
Wow.
It's interesting you say that because my mom used to jar mainly tomatoes because she was Italian, and we used it for sauce. But my mother-in-law jarred all kinds of things, and my sister-in-law, they're up in Maryland, she's got a whole basement full of jarred stuff. I mean, green beans, fruits, vegetables,
I grew up in Wisconsin, so that's where...
You don't do apple butter, do you?
I do not.
Man, I love apple butter. I was in a little restaurant up in Pumpkintown, South Carolina last Saturday morning, and they had apple butter in the little bin, and man, apple butter's that's good stuff. Yeah.
You know, I think that's one of the things. Don't you think that we've lost? I mean, we're coming back to that now, but we've kind of lost that homemade feel and taking the time to do things the old-fashioned way, for lack of a better way to say it.
Yeah.
You know, with Secretary Kennedy's MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again, I believe it's starting to come back. And I
Right.
did everything under his guidance with this new policy, so everything was made in accordance with that policy.
Now, you told me you didn't even taste not one taste of anything. Is
No.
that to be believed?
Of the jams.
Of the jams,
because
okay.
of the sugar. But
Okay.
all the salsa, that's what I ate for the whole summer. The salsa, pickles, spaghetti sauce, chili base.
Yeah.
And that's what I ate. Everything was fresh because I was eating and chopping and eating. That's what I ate.
Chopping.
He did a pretty cool job too of promoting this thing. I don't know if you've seen this.
That's my logo.
Isn't that
No,
cool?
I hadn't seen that.
That is a very cool.
What my
cool
logo is that it's the medical health care with the veterans and the preserving.
Right.
And I put it all in one. And it's actually my sister. This is a kind of a family thing. My sister makes all the business stuff, the logos and the typing and all that stuff up because I'm on the ground. And my mother, actually, for the last years, have been making honor quilts for the veterans.
That's pretty awesome.
And
That's
she makes
rare.
them by hand.
Absolutely.
It takes her all year to make 20 of them, and so she gives them away at the end of the year to veterans in hospice.
Yeah.
I want to just real quick, if I could, Dan, just to give a shout out to our South Carolina Spine Center team, Dr. Lau, Dr. Kilburn, Dr. Cole.
Now, this is all done robotics, right? Yeah.
They use some, yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's two other docs there, Dr. Matt Gowans and Bollard, who are more the first resort, I guess, where they generally try not to do surgery.
Right.
And then Doctors Lau, Kilburn, and Cole, they're involved in actual surgery kinds of cases when some of the other kind of methods don't
work.
don't pan out.
Right.
So surgeries, and which I think is a really cool thing about these doctors is it's kind of a last resort, the surgery piece. There's a lot of places you go with, that's just a surgery,
first,
and so we're really blessed with our South Carolina Spine Center. There's a number of PAs and nurse practitioners that work in that practice, and you got and they're an important part of it. Rebecca Gardner, Zane Newton, Andrew, Richard, Lisa Reynolds, Sheila Eidson, and Amanda Roper. They're all PAs and nurse practitioners, and they're an important part of the team too. And we, more and more you're seeing these advanced practice providers that are working side by side with the doctors and helping to take care of the patients. So it's big stuff.
Everybody over there, when you walk in the door to the nurses to everybody, we're just friendly and happy. And when I walk in, oh, it's Ron, how you doing? It's just like you're going into a neighborhood party or neighborhood barbecue festival. That's how I feel when I walk in there.
Well, that's terrific. Well, listen, we're going to take just a real quick break here. We'll be back. I got some more questions to ask. If you've got a question, 864-332-9355. That's 864-332-9355. We are here with veteran Ron Aderhold and Ken Coffey from the South Regional Healthcare Foundation. I believe he's in charge over there. We'll be right back. Don't you go away. This is WCRS Radio. Take it away. An American 250 revolutionary moment. As America celebrates its 250th birthday, let's meet four South Carolinians who helped change the course of history. They were Thomas Hayward Jr., Thomas Lynch Jr., Arthur Middleton, and Edward Rutledge. They were among the 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence, pledging their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor for American liberty. But signing the Declaration wasn't simply adding their names to a document. It was an act of treason against the British Crown, a decision that could cost them everything. Yet, they stood with their fellow delegates and boldly declared that the American colonies were, and of right ought to be, free and independent states. The story begins on June 7, 1776, when Virginia delegate Richard Henry Lee introduced what became known as the Lee Resolution before the Second Continental Congress. It called for the colonies to break their allegiance to Great Britain and declare themselves independent. South Carolina was well represented. Haywood, Middleton, and Rutledge were already serving in Congress. They were joined by Thomas Lynch, Jr., who traveled to Philadelphia after his father, Thomas Lynch, Sr., suffered a stroke. Over the next several weeks, Thomas Jefferson drafted what would become the Declaration of Independence. Congress debated every word before approving the final text on July 4, 1776. Nearly a month later, on August 2nd, the delegates gathered in Philadelphia to sign the historic document. The sacrifices of South Carolina signers did not end there. Thomas Lynch, Jr. and his wife were lost at sea. During the British siege of Charleston in 1780, Haywood, Middleton, and Rutledge were captured and imprisoned in St. Augustine, Florida. They remained prisoners until they were exchanged in July of 1781. After the war, they returned home to help rebuild both South Carolina and the young nation they had risked everything to create. Rutledge later became governor of South Carolina. Their signatures on the Declaration were more than ink on parchment. They were promises of courage, sacrifice, and an unwavering belief that freedom was worth the cost. And 250 years later, the legacy of South Carolina's four signers continues to remind us that the birth of our nation was shaped by ordinary men who made extraordinary choices. This is WCRS Radio, sharing the voice of 1776, brought to you by WCRS Radio and the Issaquena Chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution. The road to the revolution in the upstate. See how our county survived and thrived during revolutionary times. Excellent opportunity to see history up close at the Greenwood Museum. Many children activities, lectures, and even a kids' day at the Greenwood Museum. Stop in Wednesday through Saturday, 10 to 5. Experience an ever-changing exhibit at the Greenwood Museum. Remember, the Greenwood Museum, dedicated to sharing, saving, and celebrating Greenwood history. Brought to you by the museum and the Greenwood County 250 Coalition.
Hi, this is Brantley with Greenwood Chick-fil-A. Nominate your office, teachers, church group, or team for Breakfast for a Bunch with WCRS. We love surprising and delighting our Greenwood community. Call or text 864-332-9355. It would be our pleasure. Call or text 864-332-9355 for Breakfast for a Bunch with WCRS.
Okay, we are back here, and I'm sure you just heard that Chick-fil-A commercial there. And tomorrow, I'm choosing another breakfast for a bunch. And if you know of a group that is deserving of having breakfast for a bunch, Chick-fil-A and I want to know about it so we can honor them with breakfast for a bunch. It's very simple. All you got to do is call or text 864-332-9355. So anybody can nominate any one group or hospital group, for example.
What was that number again?
864-332-9355. And yes, you can nominate your own group, Ken.
All I know is that Dan Bongino says the Chick-fil-A breakfast burritos the best in the country.
Well, they got some great stuff, and the thing about it is they'll customize your breakfast order for a group. So if you wanted to nominate a group that you know about, Ron, 864-332-9355. Tomorrow morning I'll be drawing again, so it's an opportunity. Take advantage of it. Everybody can do it. We've given away some great ones. We've given them to the Greenwood Sanitation Department, for example. We gave it to the Greenwood Rehabilitation Hospital rehab staff. So we've done it for a lot of different groups, the Veterans Administration, the executive branch of Post 20. So we've done a lot of different good ones over this summer, and we're giving away another one tomorrow, so it's not too late to get in on it. 864-332-9355. I'm Ann Eller here. My very special guests this afternoon are Ken Coffey and Ron Aderhold, and Ron is a veteran. He is, I guess we could call him the cannon man. We just call him the canning man. How about that? When you can over 6,000 jars later, you have done an amazing job. And it's been a weight loss program for him. It's brought him out of pain because he's been able to have surgery at self, and all these good things have come about by canning. And Ron, I just want to say what an awesome experience this has been. Now, I do believe that you have got to, after this batch is gone, you're going to have to stop for a year. Is that right?
Yes, I'm being very strict with Dr. Law's orders. They put in 2 rods, 6 screws, and 7 pins in my back. So I'm a year till everything fuses and gets done. I'm still on a no bending, lifting, twisting for 6 months, and then I have to gradually do all the weight that it can pick up. So I don't want to re-injure myself. And then in the next year, I'm going to pick back up and get some help, and we'll get started again. But this year is just kind of I have to not do anything.
You have to not do anything.
I'm taking the orders from my medical home at Self Regional to not do it because I don't want to tick them all off.
No, you don't want to undo the great work that's
Correct.
been done, right?
Right. That's
So
right.
that's great. Well, I really wanted to ask a question of both of you as we finish up here this afternoon. Penny had a question. Do you want to ask your question now? Yes. Okay. Penny says, before we let you go, Princess Penny wants to say, what is one act of kindness someone did for you that you've never forgotten? Can you think of one act of kindness that somebody has done that you have always thought back to, that really made a difference in my life? That's Penny's question.
When I, in 1999, I got a job with Anthony Log Homes, and I was national sales manager in charge of dealer development coordination, and my boss at the time, I didn't know who he was, and I got to know him. He was retired Congressman Burl Anthony, and for 7 years he took me under his wing and taught me everything about being a human being, being an executive, being how to deal with people, how to be around people, how to deal with politics, how to learn everything, he was a strong proponent for veterans. He taught me a lot. He was my mentor for 7 years, and he just passed away last year. And I was 30 years old, didn't know where to go up or down, but he put me in a position where I strived. They went from 12 dealerships to 300 with me, because I was on the road for 300 days a year too, though, in my first years. But he took me under his wing, and that's a kindness I'll never forget because he didn't have to do that.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. That is wonderful. Ken, you got one?
Boy, I don't know, man. I have been so blessed in many ways with people throughout my life, and I guess to make it real for Greenwood and your listeners, probably one of the nicest things that happened to me was meeting Jim Martin. he's a local kind of unofficial ambassador for Greenwood and sports. And on my first week on the job here, I heard about them having a golf, dogfight over there on Thursday nights, and I went over there and played. I didn't know anybody. And I signed up, and they put me with some guys, and all great guys. But after the round, Jim, I guess, must have seen that I was the new foundation guy, and he walked over and he sat down and we talked, and we got to know each other a little bit. Of course, the subject of football came up, and me being from Maryland, college sports wasn't a big deal up there because we had so many pro teams.
Right.
But he said, well, who do you follow in college? And I said, well, if I had to be truthful about it, it would be Alabama. And the main reason I followed Alabama was because one of my heroes was Joe Namath.
Right.
I grew up in New York and got his autograph the summer before they won the Super Bowl in '69. And I've always liked Joe Namath. Through high school football and college football, I didn't play, but I followed it. At my school, we were a small school. I loved Bear Bryant, and from that minute, Jim, for whatever reason, kind of took me into the group, and the guys that I have met here, and it's probably one of the kindest things because I'm not from here, and
you
they've
need
made
that
me,
kind of in a small community. You really do.
And
yes.
and he and his wife Susie, have made living here, an absolute blessing for my wife and I, I doubt he's listening, and I hope he's not, because I'll hear a bunch of crap about it. From him, I'm sure, but
we'll be
that
sure
was
to forward this interview to him. No, go ahead.
but I've gotten hooked up with some really great guys, and I've gotten to play some fun golf with them, and that's what life's all about. It's friends, having good friends is invaluable.
Absolutely.
Priceless.
Absolutely. So, and as we finish up here this evening, Ron, what would you like to have people remember from this interview today?
That canning is a family tradition for years and years and years, and it's if you would start yourselves and teach you to can. You would not only have fresh, wholesome fruit and vegetables for the wintertime when it's not there, but you could always take a little bit and give it away to their fellow veterans here at the vet center, because the extra is going over to the vet center. They have a homeless program, and it's stocking the shelves for the homeless program right now. And if I do a little extra just myself, just not the big time stuff, but just a box or something, I'm going to give it to their homeless program to feed their homeless veterans that come in every day to get something off the shelves.
And it's kind of like you said, that when a veteran has tasted some of your goods, it reminds them of home.
It reminds them what their family is. It reminds them what their grandmother gave them, or their mother's made, or brings back memories that are joyful instead of tearful memories.
Yeah, that's a good thing. And Ken, what would you like people to take away from today's interview?
Well, I think most of all is to do what we can do for our veterans. I said it several times already. These men and women are heroes. They sacrificed. In many cases, they made the supreme sacrifice for our freedoms. I think there's a lot of folks in this community who could help our veterans, and I hope they'll do it by partially with the food bank that they've got over at the Veterans Center, the McCormick Area Veterans Association. I think there's a need for clothes. That would be something Rosalind Burke would have to talk about. But I think, the fact that we've got several hundred homeless vets here, we need to fix that and help those guys and girls. So.
Absolutely.
I'd also like the veterans to know that Self Regional is a medical home they can trust. That they can go there and they're not going to be treated like an outsider. You're going to be treated with respect and as the veteran who you are.
I think that's a very, very nice compliment. So, Ron Aderhold, Ken Coffey, thank you for reminding us all about healing and all the different ways that healing works. Food is a great healer, isn't it? And having positive memories about something, getting through surgery, being able to have a medical home for veterans, I'm sure is very, very important. Not having to travel, I would think, would be one of the big ones.
Correct.
Yeah.
It is.
And so until next time, keep it kind, Greenwood. There you go.
Have a great day.
Thank you, Ian.
All right. This is WCRS right here in Greenwood. I am Ann Eller. We'll be back in the morning. You know I will. 9:30 right here on WCRS. Penny will be here too. Are you coming tomorrow morning? I guess. Okay, and that'll do it for us. This is WCRS Radio. Let's drop the curtain. Let's cue the music and see you in the morning. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.